A companion, a core element of Doctor Who, just as iconic as the Daleks, the TARDIS, and even the Doctor themselves. They aren't just sidekicks, they're the ones who ask the burning questions, challenges the Doctor, and help us, the audience, make sense of the universe. Over the years, we've seen companions in all shapes and sizes, some brilliant, some forgettable, some who've journeyed with the Doctor for years, and others who met more tragic fates. But what exactly makes a companion stand out? What turns them into a fan favourite and an essential part of their era, forming an unforgettable bond with the Doctor as they travel through time and space? In this video, we're on the hunt for the greatest companion partnership in Doctor Who history. To decide, we'll consider the unique qualities each companion brings to the table, their impact on the Doctor, their legacy, and the influence they've had on future companions. We'll dive into a few standout duos to see why they've earned a special place in the hearts of fans. And of course, this is just my opinion, so don't hesitate to share yours in the comments. And who do you think is the Doctor's greatest companion? One of the best ways to understand the dynamic between a Doctor and a companion is to think of it as a true friendship. But what makes a great friendship? Trust and loyalty are key, and that brings us to one of the most iconic partnerships in Doctor Who, the Second Doctor and Jamie McCrimmon. During the First Doctor's era, we saw the character evolve from a stubborn, protective figure over Susan to a warmer grandfather-like presence. But the constant rotation of companions, 10 depending on who you count across 3 seasons, left little time for deep lasting bonds to form. That all changed with the Second Doctor era and the arrival of Jamie, Highlander from 18th century Scotland, who joined the TARDIS at the end of the Highlanders. He was at a disadvantage, coming from a time before modern or futuristic technology, unlike his fellow companions Ben and Polly. But Jamie quickly proved that trust and loyalty could bridge any gap. He may not have understood the science, but he trusted the Doctor completely, and the Doctor in turn relied on Jamie's bravery and instinct. Their mutual trust arguably made Jamie the Doctor's closest male companion to date. As fellow companions Ben and Polly left, and others like Victoria and Zoe came aboard, Jamie remained a constant, evolving into a protector of his fellow travellers. His loyalty and courage more than compensated for any lack of technological knowledge, and his fierce devotion to the Doctor made him irreplaceable. Far from being just a muscle, Jamie's instinct and bravery became vital to their success in dangerous situations. What made the partnership even more special was the light-hearted dynamic between the Doctor and Jamie. Often, they came across as a double act, sharing humorous moments that endeared them to the audience. Much of this stemmed from the off-screen friendship between Patrick Troughton and Fraser Hines. Their chemistry was palpable, and they often improvised, bringing a playful energy to their scenes that felt natural and real. Like all great partnerships, Jamie's time with the Doctor came to an emotional end. Forced back to his own time by the Time Lords at the conclusion of the War Games, Jamie had grown from a simple piper into a well-rounded character who had learnt and evolved through his travels. The bond they had built made his departure all the more heartbreaking, as it was clear just how much the two characters had shaped each other's journeys. As Doctor Who entered the 1970s, the role of the companion evolved, especially with a growing focus on strong female characters. The 1960s companions were often young, naive, and vulnerable, relying on the Doctor as a protective father or grandfather figure. But the 1970s marked a turning point as companions became more mature, independent, and proactive. Enter Sarah Jane Smith. Debuting on December 15, 1973 in The Time Warrior, Sarah quickly established herself as a game-changing figure in the series. Building on the groundwork laid by Liz Shaw and Joe Grant, Sarah was fiercely independent and inquisitive, qualities that stemmed from her career as a journalist. While the Doctor occasionally had to rescue her from the dangerous situations, it never felt like the traditional damsel in distress trope. Instead, Sarah's predicaments came from her curiosity and bravery, not from any lack of maturity or judgment. When the third Doctor regenerated into the fourth, Sarah's relationship with him deepened into something unique for the show. an equal partnership. She wasn't just along for the ride, she was an active participant in the story. Often, it was Sarah's discoveries and intelligence that propelled the narrative forward, as seen in episodes like Planet of the Spiders and Robot. Together, Sarah and the Fourth Doctor balanced each other perfectly. The Doctor brought his vast scientific knowledge and eccentric alien personality, while Sarah offered a grounded sensibility, always managing to understand him and even bringing him back down to earth when needed. They were like a perfect comedic duo, with contrasting personalities that complemented each other and were always ready for the next adventure, and as such, Sarah was always tempted by the Doctor's gleaming suggestion of just one quick trip in the TARDIS, adventures that often took them to the far corners of the universe. This dynamic was further enhanced by the real-life friendship between Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen. Their effortless chemistry shone through on screen, allowing the Doctor and Sarah to feel like true equals. Friends who could talk and banter naturally, without the need for the Doctor to teach or guide his companion. Sarah wasn't the Doctor's student. She was the Doctor's confidant and his partner in adventure. Sarah's tenure, spanning 3 and a bit seasons, was one of the longest in the show's history, and it only ended when the Doctor was called back to Gallifrey at the conclusion of the Hand of Fear. But even after her departure, Sarah's story didn't stop. She returned in K9 and Company, the 20th anniversary special, The Five Doctors, and later made emotional reunions with both the 10th and 11th Doctors, deepening the character's relationship with the Time Lord, regardless of the incarnation. Her enduring popularity also led to her own spin-off, The Sarah Jane Adventures, cementing her legacy as one of the most beloved and influential companions in Doctor Who's long history. Throughout the classic era of Doctor Who, companions typically entered the Doctor's world for a whirlwind adventure before parting ways. Whether the Doctor was a father figure or a trusted friend, these relationships were often grounded in mutual trust. But what happens when the Doctor isn't just a guide, but a manipulator? The answer lies in one of the most fascinating partnerships in the show's history, the Seventh Doctor and Ace. By the late 1980s, Doctor Who was fighting for survival, with the BBC constantly threatening to pull the plug. After more than 2 decades on air, it felt like every type of companion dynamic had already been explored, until Ace burst onto the scene in 1987's Dragonfire. She was unlike any companion that came before her. A streetwise teenager from modern-day Perivale, Ace found herself transported to the distant future and stranded on Iceworld, the result of a mysterious time storm. When the Doctor first met her, Ace was vulnerable, alone, and far from home. But the Seventh Doctor, in his usual non-linear fashion, offered her more than just a trip back to Earth. This time, though, he had something different in mind. As Doctor Who entered its 25th season, the once clownish Seventh Doctor began to take on a darker, more manipulative edge, and Ace was caught in his web. While innocent and at times naive, Ace was also fiercely determined and unafraid of danger. Her love of action, explosives, and adventure often helped her and the Professor, as she liked to call the Doctor, out of sticky situations. This was no ordinary partnership. More often than not, the Doctor placed Ace in challenging, sometimes dangerous scenarios, forcing her to confront her deepest fears. By season 26, Ace had grown from a reckless teenager into a mature young woman. As she faced her fears and navigated her own path to adulthood, she began to question the Doctor's motives and methods. In The Curse of Fenric, we discovered just how much Ace had been a pawn in the Doctor's grand game. Godlike Fenric reveals that he had orchestrated Ace's journey to Iceworld as part of a complex, deadly contest with the Doctor, and one that the Doctor had been preparing for all along, with Ace unknowingly caught in the middle. This mentor-protege relationship was truly one of a kind, with the Doctor shaping Ace's journey in ways she didn't fully understand until much later. Unfortunately, the full story was never realised on screen, as the BBC cancelled Doctor Who after season 26. According to script editor Andrew Cartmel, Ace was meant to leave the TARDIS in season 27, with the Doctor's mentorship culminating in her departure for Gallifrey to join the Prydonian Academy, as the Doctor once did in his youth. Although this never came to pass on television, her eventual departure was explored in different ways in novel formats. Audiences, though, finally got a sense of closure decades later in the 13th Doctor's final story, The Power of the Doctor. Ace returns, revealing that her relationship with the Doctor had ended on rocky terms. Yet, in the end, it became clear that the Doctor's harsh lessons had prepared her for greater things, as she also understood the burden placed on the Time Lord's shoulders. Now an adult, Ace had founded a charitable organisation to take on global injustices, proving that the Doctor's guidance, though difficult at times, had helped shape her into the remarkable woman she became. In 2005, Doctor Who triumphantly returned to TV screens with Christopher Eccleston as the Ninth Doctor. While reconnecting with long-time fans, the show had also had to appeal to a new generation. To achieve this, the narrative was told through the eyes of someone the audience could relate to, a young woman from modern-day Earth. Enter Rose Tyler. When we first meet Rose in the aptly titled episode Rose, she's stuck in the monotony of everyday life, living in a dead-end suburb and working in a mundane job. But when she encounters the Doctor during his battle against the Autons, her life changes forever. In Rose, we see an ordinary girl drawn into extraordinary adventures, but her influence on the Doctor was equally significant. The Ninth Doctor was still carrying the heavy emotional scars of the Time War, burdened with guilt and isolation. Rose, with her energy, curiosity, and warmth, helps him begin to heal. Through her, he finds a reason to trust again and begins to reconnect with humanity. She's not just a companion, she becomes a lifeline to his lost sense of purpose. At first, Rosie's traits were reminiscent of classic companions like Sarah Jane Smith and Ace, brave, inquisitive, and a bit rebellious. But as their partnership deepened, so did the emotional connection between the two characters. Their relationship developed into something new for Doctor Who, a romance. Their bond became most evident in the parting of the ways when the Doctor saves Rose with a kiss, a moment that hinted at a deeper affection. When the Doctor regenerates into his 10th incarnation, played by David Tennant, their connection only intensifies. Tennant's 10th Doctor exudes a kind of youthful charm and emotional depth that was new for the character, and Rose becomes the natural counterpart to this version of the Time Lord. There's a romantic tension between them, something Doctor Who had rarely explored before, and unlike the more distant and asexual portrayals of earlier Doctors, Tennant's Doctor had an undeniable chemistry with Rose, making their relationship feel charged with possibility. Despite the growing affection, the relationship remains unspoken for much of the 10th Doctor's debut season. The Doctor, as a Time Lord, understands the heartbreak that comes with outliving his companions. He keeps his feelings for Rose suppressed, knowing that their lives would ultimately take different paths. This is driven home in the school reunion when Rose meets Sarah Jane Smith, and she begins to see the painful consequences of being left behind, realizing that the Doctor's life adventure is also one of inevitable loss. Yet, Rose is willing to risk it all. Her devotion to the Doctor transcends the usual companion dynamic. She's not just in it for the thrill of the adventure, but for the chance to explore the love that seems to linger between them. Tragically, like many a great love story, theirs is cut short. In Doomsday, Rose becomes trapped in a parallel universe, separated from the Doctor seemingly forever. Their emotional farewell is heart-wrenching, with Rose finally confessing her love. But before the Doctor can reply, that connection is lost. Rose's impact on the Doctor and on the show itself cannot be overstated. She represents a turning point for Doctor Who, introducing a new layer of emotional depth and romantic tension to the Doctor-companion dynamic. Her absence haunts the 10th Doctor, affecting his relationship with future companions, especially Martha Jones, whose own feelings for the Doctor are overshadowed by his lingering grief for Rose. Beyond that, though, there is now the general acceptance that the Doctor can now explore romantic feelings, in particular with companions, if the narrative permits it. Rose eventually returns in the season 4 finale, The Stolen Earth and Journey's End. Though, at the story's conclusion, the original Doctor is unable to be with her still, she is reunited with the Metacrisis Doctor, an echo of what could have been. Their final embrace suggests the love that they never fully expressed, giving Rose a bittersweet but fitting conclusion. Final nomination is Donna Noble, a companion who broke the mould set up by Rose Tyler. Up until Donna's arrival, there was a growing expectation that the Doctor's companions had to be young and carry some form of romantic attachment. But with Donna, Doctor Who took a bold new direction. Donna Noble first appeared in the 2006 Christmas special The Runaway Bride. At the time, her character seemed like a one-off, but her return as the Doctor's full-time companion, Season 4's Partners in Crime, changed everything. By this point, the Doctor had become weary of travelling alone, haunted by the memories of Rose and Martha. On the other hand, Donna had returned to her mundane life after that one brief adventure, only to realise she wanted more. Their chance encounter wasn't just serendipity, it was exactly what both of them needed to reignite a spark in their lives. From the start, Donna made it clear there'd be no romantic feelings between her and the Doctor, a refreshing break from the emotional complications of his previous companions. This lack of romantic tension allowed something deeper to blossom, a genuine, platonic friendship. Donna wasn't just another companion, she was a partner who could meet the Doctor as an equal on emotional and intellectual terms. Her presence gave the Doctor the support he desperately needed, while she, in turn, was pulled out of her stagnant life and thrust into the wonders of the universe. Donna's defining quality was her ability to call the Doctor out, keeping him grounded and often acting as his moral compass. While many companions accepted the Doctor's way of doing things without question, Donna was different. She wasn't afraid to challenge his rules or ask difficult questions, especially when it came to matters of life and death. One standout moment came at the conclusion of the fires of Pompeii, when the Doctor was determined to let history play out with the destruction created by Mount Vesuvius. Donna, however, urged him to act, convincing him at least to save one family. This moment was pivotal, not just for Donna's development, but for the Doctor's as well. She helped him see that sometimes bending the rules was necessary for compassion to triumph over detached logic. Catherine Tate's portrayal of Donna brought a fresh and dynamic edge to the show. With her comedic background, Tate injected a humour and chemistry with David Tennant that recalled the effortless banter of Tom Baker and Elizabeth Sladen. But Donna was much more than comic relief. She was mature, street smart, and most importantly, someone who had lived enough life to recognise the value of standing up to the Doctor when needed. Over the course of her travels, Donna's journey was one of the most transformative. She went from feeling lost and directionless to becoming someone who saved the entire universe. In Journey's End, Donna absorbed the Doctor's knowledge in a moment of desperation, helping to defeat Davros and the Daleks. Tragically, though, this newfound brilliance came at a cost. To save her life, the Doctor had to wipe Donna's memory of their time together, send her back to her ordinary world with no recollection of their incredible adventures. The heartbreaking conclusion left the Doctor once again without the grounding presence of his best friend. Yet Donna's story eventually came full circle. Her character received a more satisfying conclusion when the 14th Doctor returned to her life in the Star Beast, allowing both of them a moment of peace and closure. After all they'd been through, the Doctor found solace in the friendship that they had once started, a relationship built on mutual respect, honesty, and the kind of companionship that transcended romance. There are so many more examples I could offer up in this video that could be contenders at creating the greatest companion partnership. Characters such as Jo Grant, Romana, Amy Pond, and Clara Oswald. But I picked these 5 based on their greatness, individuality, and influence, not only on the narrative of Doctor Who itself, but the development of other companions that followed suit. But who knows, one day I might make a video exploring 5 more. But in the end, if you were to ask me who formed the greatest companion partnership, it would have to be that of Sarah Jane Smith. Her popularity, longevity, interactions with multiple incarnations of the Doctor, as well as many other companions, in my opinion, prove this. Not only that, but after her original departure in 1976, the blueprint of her character as a companion was kept on and used to develop and create other companions that came after. It might feel like an easy conclusion to come to due to her popularity, but it is that popularity that reinforces my opinion. The character is arguably the most enduring, not only to the show, but us as fans too. But don't forget, this is solely my opinion. As ever, I welcome anyone to offer their own take on what they think is the greatest companion partnership ever in Doctor Who. Part of the success of Doctor Who's longevity is that there are so many eras and different approaches to the show that not all of us fans have to agree on everything, and this is never more true than with that of companions. After all, the companion acts as the audience on-screen representation in the show, and ultimately our preferences on different eras. For now, let me know in the comments below what you think. However, don't forget, it's the end. The moment has been prepared for.